I was just talking to Jason Littlefield. Actually, he's another one, free black thought
Uh,
guy, and
yeah, yeah.
he was like, we can't. What is that phrase that people always say? The master's tools or whatever. We can't like,
Oh, yeah.
unravel the whatever with the master's tools or whatever. So like, I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, the funny part about people who say that stuff is that it's exactly what you said. Like, they make up that they know things, and so like the whole foundation to that argument is just completely made up. And for him, it's like about Marxism, right? That Marxism came and like has like it's now taken hold, and people now are trying to eliminate individual rights, based on this philosophical brainwashing, right? And so like that whole underpinning foundation of his, that's why we can't use race. It's just we can't use it's the fruit of the poisonous tree argument in the law, right? Like for
Yeah,
evidence.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
like so
Yeah.
anyways, but I just say like, you know I you can't question whether like why how people come to these conclusions because they don't know themselves. Like I mean they can't answer. So I can't really take that route. I realize that through experience. So now what I do is I basically say, all right, so like, what's your prescription, right? Like what would you do,
Yeah.
right? And
Tell
then
me. Yeah.
they'll have an answer, and then basically that answer inevitably ignores all the stuff that I was talking about before that I've learned about how this racial hierarchy works on us in reality. And so I just start finding the holes in their thing, and I start bringing these things to light in various ways, usually with stories or making connections to them, right? Because you got to meet people where you're at, like you said. So, and
Yeah.
then I find a way to work it in and like get people to
Yeah.
wrestle with it. And like that's really all I can hope for is that people wrestle with it and then ultimately realize that they've lost some agency, that they've lost the
Mm,
agency to decide whether they want to live in a society that's racialized. Like it's
mm,
not a given. It's not something that we have to accept, Like people have been
yeah.
fighting against it for some time, and ultimately we can win that fight now for the first time probably ever in human history. Why?
Hmm.
Because we're all connected through technology now.
Hmm.
We for the first time we can actually connect all of our human hearts if we want it. That
Hmm.
power has never existed in human history. And so
Mm.
ultimately, my ultimate goal is to, capitalize on that power, and make sure that we use it for good rather than evil the first time.
That would be cool. I think that that's a great like ultimate goal. And God, I wish there was a simple path to get there. I just don't think that there is at this point. I think there's a lot of hell that we have to go through to actually like respect each other. And that's not necessarily a new problem or a race specific problem. I think that's a problem that's universal because partially because of the concept of race exists, but partially because I think, as mammals, we're stupid and emotional and not very sophisticated. Like the one thing I say incessantly on Twitter is we have this like delusion of sophistication, which is such bullshit. Like we would much sooner kill each other than like actually help each other in many situations. We don't think we're
Which is
bad people
so
who would hurt each
frustrating,
other.
but it's so true.
It's
Like,
true. It's true. We delusionally believe that we're some civil. I'm wearing a jacket. We're both wearing collared shirts. Like we must be civilized people, but that's fucking bullshit. If we don't like the same football team or basketball team, we'll be at each other's throats over stupid shit at this point. And that's just like that's a
I mean, but I
all
mean,
I
in that regard, right? Isn't it a matter of maturity, though, too? Right? Like, I'm not going to be at anyone's throat because of a football game, like ever. I already know that. That's never going to happen. Like maybe at one time in my life, which I still
yeah,
don't think. But like maybe
yeah.
maybe in a distant past, but like at this point, I feel extremely confident saying there's no game that's gonna happen whereby I'm gonna have an emotional reaction that like I somehow can't like control or something. Like I personally don't think that could happen. But like, I could be wrong, of course. Like I don't know for sure, right? I don't know the future. But like I know myself pretty well. And like I also know, where my flaws lie and like
Yeah.
where the inconsistency in my behavior. So I'm very self-reflective, and that's why I feel confident
Yeah.
saying it, like
Yeah.
But like, I get what you're saying, and I agree. You know that in general, right? Like, if we don't temper ourselves, right? Like, we can be
Mhm.
tempered, but if we don't temper ourselves, then yeah, we're just gonna be just like any other animal out there, you know, beating our chests and like pooping everywhere and eating everything and just like, you know, beating each other up and and like
Yeah.
just getting into conflicts, you know, like we're no different. But
Yeah.
I think that I think there's one difference, right? And that
Okay.
is, to me, our ability to self-reflect. You know, like I've grown so much, from the person I
Hmm.
was. You know, I wouldn't say that
Yeah.
I've changed, like the core of like kind of my values. They've been
Hmm.
quite consistent, since I was very young. And
Yeah.
I had awareness of my values from a very young age, which I think is also a rare thing. But like,
Yeah.
you know, what has changed is I've been wrong like a million times, you know? And like,
Yeah.
when I'm
Yeah.
wrong, I learn, you know? And
Yeah.
that's what I see is different from me than other people. Like, when I do something wrong or when I make a mistake, I want to know why. I want to know everything about the mistake that I made. I want to know every
Yeah.
single thing. When I teach my classes, when I make a mistake, I highlight it for the students and we walk through it. We understand why I made it. We understand how to fix it. I don't run away from my mistakes. I see the majority of people out here running from their mistakes. I see a bunch of YouTubers and social media influencers covering up their mistakes. I see entertainment industry that
Hmm.
pushes out perfection as a standard, and a beauty
Mm.
industry as well. You know, like,
Yeah.
a lot of people are growing up in this technological environment where they're getting all these messages that perfection, anything less than perfection, is problematic, like in any context or scenario. It's so
Yeah.
dangerous, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, I wholeheartedly agree. That's fucking stupid. And it's, I think that we have great potential to unfuck ourselves if we just have a little more humility about like who we really are. And I think this is where you and I, it seems like, agree a great deal, is I think that there's a general lack of humility